Arabia and the United States, in fact, beg your pardon, the UAE is now saying that it is pulling out its remaining forces in Yemen after Saudi Arabia backed the call for UAE forces to leave the country within 24 hours. The move followed a Saudi-led coalition airstrike on the southern Yemeni port of Mukalla. The attack on what Riyadh says is a UAE-linked weapons shipment and marked the most significant escalation between Riyadh and Abu Dhabi to date in a widening rift between the two Gulf powers. Declaring its national security a red line, Saudi Arabia earlier alleged that the UAE had pressured Yemen's southern separatists to conduct military operations that had breached the kingdom's borders. And I request a comment here from Ambassador Sachdev.
I think this is a very far-reaching development and indicates widening of the rift between Riyadh and Abu Dhabi as far as the Red Sea region or Bab el-Mandeb region is concerned.
Yeah.
If a closer look at the map would show, firstly, that the area that STC, Southern Transitional Council, has taken over in the last 2 or 3 weeks is quite a big swath of territory bordering Saudi Arabia and Oman, as well as the Gulf of Aden and Indian Ocean. This is sensitive in many ways. Firstly, it gives the Southern Transitional Council, which is backed by UAE, a direct border with Saudi Arabia and also with Oman. Secondly, this route has been used, overland route has been used in past to supply Iranian weapons to Houthi rebels, who have used them against Israel and in blockading the Red Sea for close over a year now. Thirdly, the STC is member of internationally recognized Yemeni ruling council, but which is backed by Saudi Arabia and notionally by UAE as well. But STC has been encouraged separately by funding and through weapon supplies to carve out its own territory by the UAE. I should also add that on the other side of the Gulf of Aden lies Somalia, which is where Somaliland has been recognized by Israel as the first country to have ever done so. UAE already has a naval base there. Then it comes to Sudan, where UAE is supporting the separatists. So basically, UAE's support to Southern Transitional Council, a separatist body in Yemen, mirrors UAE's support to Somaliland and UAE's support to RSF of Sudan, which is also a separatist body. This has alarmed Saudi Arabia because the Saudis are on the other side of the divide in Yemen. They back the Central Council, as I mentioned, and in Somalia, they back Somali government and not the Somaliland separatists. In Sudan, they back SAF, the military-run central government, and not RSF as backed by UAE. So this is not just a solitary case of Saudi and UAE having different backings in 3 separatist-ridden countries of that region through which much of the global oil supplies go. And this worries Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia, more than UAE, is within the earshot of all these three separatist bodies,
Hmm.
which have backings of the UAE, and that makes it Saudis uh, see as some sort of wider conspiracy. And the Yemeni STC, uh, they have yesterday bombed the ship that was bringing weapons,
Hmm.
etc., for STC
Yeah.
from UAE,
Hmm.
which is the first time such a thing has happened.
Hmm.
Now, the UAE seem to have uh, heeded the ultimatum and has decided to withdraw its forces, at least publicly, from Yemen.
Yeah.
So the STC backing may be withdrawn,
Hmm.
and that will make STC slightly more flexible with regard to Saudi demands.
Ambassador, would you say that if asked, the Saudi will be able to furnish sufficient evidence to justify its, attack on the ship that it says was actually carrying weapons?
Uh, it's a loaded question. I should say that evidence should be available through satellites, etc. But
Hmm.
it and the ground sort of surveillance. And Saudis would not have taken such a drastic step
Hmm.
of attacking a ship bringing UAE's hardware unless they were certain about it.
All right, and what do you think, in your opinion, how do STC's recent territorial gains in the two ports in Hadramaut and Al Mahra, they affect the balance of power, between the forces backed by Saudi and, on the other hand, the UAE aligned groups?
There are three major groups in Yemen. There are Al Houthis, which are the strongest in
Hmm.
the northern part of Yemen that borders Saudi Arabia.
Hmm.
And Houthis and Saudis have had a longish battle for close to 6 or 7 years.
Hmm.
There is a ceasefire between the two, but Houthis got involved in Red Sea siege and also lobbing missiles at Israel to avenge for Hamas or Iran or Lebanon. Uh, Israelis have also bombed Houthis.
Hmm.
Second major group is STC,
Hmm.
which is well funded and well armed and trained by the UAE.
Okay.
Third body, which is more administrative than military, is the uh, internationally recognized coalition government
Hmm.
of Yemen, which is backed by Saudi Arabia and was for a long time based in Riyadh because Aden was controlled by STC. So, with all these three parties at loggerheads, the biggest beneficiaries would be the Houthis, who are still licking their wounds after brushed up with Israel and United States. But they and Iran, their backer, has been mauled by the war with the Americans and
Hmm.
Israelis. So it will give them some free space to operate. STC is militarily capable, and it will remain to be seen how UAE would actually withdraw or would only do it on surface, and
Hmm.
the backing to STC from UAE, which is quite substantive, would continue. Thirdly, the pressure would now mount on Saudi Arabia
Hmm.
to back up the internationally recognized federal government of Yemen, which has been weak and mostly on paper. So that is where Saudis do not want to get involved in Yemen all over again.
All
Yemen
right.
was said to be their Vietnam, and the Saudi cities were bombed by Houthis, etc., over past decade.
Hmm.
So they were able to extricate themselves with great deal of effort and diplomacy. Uh, yeah, it remains to be seen
Sure.
whether the withdrawal by UAE
Hmm.
under duress of Saudi pressure would lead to STC behaving in a more flexible manner
Hmm.
as a component of the council ruling Yemen with Saudi backing. And if it comes back to that fold, situation could improve.
All right. Thank you very much, Ambassador Sachdev, then for joining us and explaining that to our viewers. And with that, viewers, we are now going to proceed.